Your AccuWeather.com forecast, seasonably warm with sunshine and a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds, highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.
Good morning. It's 6:03. Robert and Erin. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Erin down yonder has local news up next.
Reaction from BRF to the governor's actions. We'll talk about that. A very somber day in our community as we remember a World War II veteran. Don't know if I can get through this without crying. And an LSU pledge dies during a possible hazing incident.
I got to tell you, I know how the mayor feels. I know exactly how Ollie by golly feels, and I will tell you what it is in just a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The KEEL Morning Report, now on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Earlier this week, Governor Edwards and LSU filed a breach of contract paper against BRF. Well, BRF and University Health have responded. University Health Chairman Steve Scrivanos says the state has greatly underfunded the two safety net hospitals in North Louisiana. He says University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, gets about half the money to see twice the amount of patients. Despite that, he believes that the state and BRF will be able to work things out. 74 years after his death during World War II, Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa back in 1943. Snap, who's originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. Services for the fallen Marine will begin at 9 a.m. at Osborne Funeral Home in Shreveport. An LSU pledge dies during a possible hazing incident. Matt Parker with that.
Baton Rouge police and LSU officials are investigating the death of an 18-year-old pledge at the Phi Delta Theta house. Officials suspect that Maxwell Groover's death is due to hazing. An autopsy will be conducted to determine an official cause of the death. LSU President F. King Alexander has suspended all fraternity activities until the investigation is complete. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
A woman has suffered life-threatening injuries after being stabbed during a fight in Shreveport. Police say the victim and another woman were fighting over a child on Jackson Street. At some point, the suspect pulled out a knife, stabbed the victim in the rib cage. Suspect then fled the scene and remains at large. Shreveport Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket chiming in on the city's hope to bring the New Orleans Pelicans G League team to town.
If it takes off the way that it should, right? Well, then maybe I do want to invest in the city. Maybe it's me that builds the $40 million facility down on the river. Maybe it's me.
The Mudbugs open their season tonight at the Hirsch. London's Metro Police say a fire on the London subway has been declared a terror incident. The force says counterterrorism officers are leading the investigation at Parsons Green, where a number of people have been hurt.
The emergency services, and at this stage, We are treating the matter as a terrorist-related incident.
Peace with Scotland Yard in London. North Korea has fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight, and a clear message of defiance after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions. State House Appropriations Chair Cameron Henry says get ready to hear scare tactics coming from the governor. In a video posted to his Facebook page, the Republican from Metairie says he expects Governor Edwards to start threatening cuts to important programs like TOPS.
And we all know he doesn't like TOPS anyway, that will be cut if he doesn't get $1 billion+. I think after that, you're going to see services be next, anything dealing with now waivers, anything that adversely affects people directly in Louisiana.
LSU gets its first test in the SEC tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, believes this game will be won in the trenches.
How well the offensive line for LSU can do against a much bigger and, frankly, a much faster defensive front led by Jeffrey Simmons, who, for all the things Arden Key does to disrupt offenses for LSU's defense, that's exactly what Simmons does for the Bulldogs. He's got to be accounted for it anytime he's on the field.
Lots of sunshine today. The high temp close to 89. Right now it's 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Good morning. It's 9 past 6 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Traffic time for Friday morning. Here's Ruben.
It is once again the best time of day to get from A to B because everything's all clear for your early morning drive to work or school. But look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Seasonably warm with sunshine and a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds, highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
No, if we're gonna do video, I want a close up.
And I want farther away.
I know.
Well, then you two knuckleheads can go out and buy the equipment and then set it up yourselves and then run it all.
How hard
about
would it
that?
be just to move the camera closer
You
to
can
the
move it closer.
There's a lot more to it than just moving it, Bob.
What's that, Matt?
Do we have to get into this right now? We have
101.7
more important
FM and
things.
710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. And KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. And yes, we are streaming on the KEEL Facebook page and on YouTube. Sadly, see, I've got vampire hair, and what I mean by that is that it doesn't show up in photographs. And I'm kind of looking, when you get closer to me, you can see I have a little hair. But when you watch the video, it looks like I am missing
Sans hair.
Hey, but there's a new study though that might be beneficial to you. I think it was the University of Pittsburgh.
Yes.
They did a study that says bald is beautiful. Bald men attract more women than men with hair.
I did see that.
So Bob, maybe instead of oh, I want my hair to show up, maybe bald's working for you. Maybe there are women watching the KEEL Facebook page right now like, God, I want Robert's number.
So
let him believe that, Matt.
What you're telling me right now is
you need to give out the text line and maybe cruise for some chicks.
it's as good right now as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Oh, ye gods, man. Okay, so I know how Ollie Tyler feels. I know how Miss Ollie feels. Because after the defeat, the 6-0. Oh, by the way, we had Jerry Bowman, the non-vote on yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you missed that interview, the interview with Jerry Bowman, Councilman Jerry Bowman, where he explains why he left, where he went, what he had to do, why it was 6-0 instead of whatever it would have been.
7-0.
And the title on the website, KEELnews.com, is Jerry Bowman Answers, Where Was Jerry Bowman?
Right.
And so if you missed that, Jerry will tell you what was so pressing that in the midst of the debate, as we're about to vote on what obviously or honestly was one of the most important votes by a city council in Shreveport history, Jerry, gotta go. See ya.
Yeah.
See ya.
Peace out.
It's on the website, KEELnews.com. So, I know how Ollie feels. Because she said after that 6-0 vote, she said, and a bunch of other folks said that there was all this misinformation on Facebook. Now, yesterday morning, we had Mudbugs coach Scott Musket. And he talked about a lot of things. He talked about Mudbugs hockey and Shreveport as a city. He talked about the arena. But there's nobody who actually listened to that interview or listened to the post that was on the website. Shreveport is a sports town. There was nobody who would really listen to that, who would think that he was in favor of floating all that money, the millions and millions, the 30 million plus for an arena. He never said that.
No, he didn't.
And yet, if you look at some of the comments on the Facebook page, it's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No arena. We don't need the debt.
Yeah.
No to the no. And I'm thinking, wait a second. If you commented on the Musket interview,
Right.
and you at any point even implied, that Musket was pro-arena and thought we should take a $30 million debt on our back, you didn't listen to it.
Right.
Which is exactly the point I fear Miss Ollie was making. Not that things would have turned out differently. I don't think they would have. But I was just intrigued by all the people who commented negatively about the Musket interview.
Right.
And you could tell from the comments, they never, ever, ever listened.
They didn't listen.
So here we go, KEELnews.com, and we started off with Mudbugs general manager, Scott Musket. He was coach for a lot of years. That's why I may have said that. Mudbugs general manager, Scott Musket, and Erin asks the $64,000 question.
Are we a sports town?
Yeah.
Does Shreveport support sports? But we've had so many failures, Scott. You've seen social media. We don't support these things.
But how many times do we have sports teams that leave Shreveport and everybody automatically puts the excuse of Shreveport didn't support it? Because I'm telling you right now, for the 4 years we were gone, every restaurant I walked into, 10 people would come up and apologize to me saying, oh, we're so sorry, Coach, Shreveport doesn't support anything. And I quickly stopped them and said, please understand, our support was not our problem. The people of Shreveport coming out to hockey games was never our problem. We did not leave because people weren't coming. We left because we couldn't make it work. from a financial standpoint, you cannot spend what we were spending to have a building to play in or not have a building to play in, and you couldn't have any extra revenues. Or that had nothing to do with the support.
If you put a sport on the floor or in the stadium or on the field that people love and people are passionate about, will Shreveport come out? You're telling us no doubt.
Absolutely. We were out for 4 years. We moved into a building that was built in 1952 and averaged a little under 3,000 people every night. We can do business there because we don't have to pay outrageous money, right?
That's a whole nother subject. Yeah,
it is. But I don't want us to get wrapped up and say, oh, Shreveport doesn't support it. Shreveport's a great city. It's a great city, and it has a lot of people who love their sports. But I would hazard a guess that if any other franchise was like ours, it wasn't the support that was the problem.
If you're the Benson family, the Pelicans organization today, with the vote this week by the Shreveport City Council to say no to a new arena, would you think Shreveport is dead for the Pelicans bringing their G League team here?
Well, you're asking me, and I kind of have inside trader on this, right?
Right, exactly.
Because here's what I know. I know that for 28 nights last year, we had 3,000 people come to our building. So, and I would hazard a guess that if I'm the Pelicans, would I take 3,000 people every night at my games? According to the rest of the league, 3,000 would be huge numbers for that. So for me, I wouldn't say no to it because I'm the kind of guy, I have check boxes. I want to know what works and what doesn't work. At the end of every day, I want to say this worked, this worked, this worked, this didn't work.
Yeah.
So for me, I would come to Shreveport.
Would you be looking at the Hirsch? The
Absolutely.
Gold Dome?
Because I'd look at the Hirsch for sure because here's what I know. 3,000 people came to 28 hockey games last year. So if I bring a basketball team in there, then one thing I know for sure, it's not the building. It's not the part of town because everybody's already going there.
Yeah. Doing $3,000 a night.
Absolutely. So I'd be the kind of guy that says, listen, I'd love to start there. Then if it takes off the way that it should, right? Well, then maybe I do want to invest in the city. Maybe it's me that builds the $40 million facility down on the river. Maybe it's me. Maybe that's what I do.
If it's a huge success.
Absolutely.
Have you expressed any of these concerns to the mayor, to any city council members? Have they reached out to ask you anything about it?
Well, we've talked. We have talked, and the mayor. We had a very good meeting. I really appreciate what the mayor is trying to do. I do. From my heart, I believe that she wants the city of Shreveport to thrive. I really believe that. I think that these numbers scare a lot of people, and a lot of people felt that these numbers were not necessary at this time. And I really understand where everybody was coming from on that. But I think to say, hey, listen, we're not interested in spending $100 million at this time, and going from that to Shreveport's dead is I feel a little sick. I just as soon die as to have to sneeze. You're going from one you're going from one extreme to the other. It just doesn't make sense.
I know I'm monopolizing this, Robert. I apologize, but one more.
Sure.
Doesn't having an NBA G League team here, couldn't that hurt the Mudbugs? You got competition. I only got money to spend on one ticket.
Yeah.
Am I going to buy your ticket? Am I going to buy their ticket?
I'm here to tell you that's really not. I'm not afraid of having another sports team in here. In fact, I was when the Pelicans first came to town, I was right at the front showing them the Hirsch Coliseum, trying to talk them into coming to George's Pond because I think it's good for Shreveport. I do think that. I mean, we can get into that, but the reality is, I'm gonna reveal something that I've never revealed before.
Oh, please!
I sit in the box office for the start almost every night, and do you know the number one question when people come to our box office?
What?
What is the best seat you have?
Really?
And out of every 10 people, 9 of them never dip below that.
Wow.
We, in our season ticket base, our most expensive seat that we have is the one we've sold the most of. Our least expensive seat is the one we've sold the least of. So it tells me that if you love the city of Shreveport and you make sure that they know that you're going to put out a product and they fall back in love with you, the dollar is not the problem. The dollar is not the problem. It's being in love with it every day and making sure that when fans come in, I shake hands with everybody as they leave. I wish I could have one of me on the east wing and one on the west wing, because I have to jump back and forth trying to thank, because I truly believe, I thank you for being a Mudbug fan. I thank you for coming to a game. I thank you for bringing your family. I thank you for staying afterwards and skating with the players. It means a lot to me, because I have these conversations way more than I want to. Not that I don't enjoy this conversation with you,
Sure,
but I don't want to keep having to defend the city of Shreveport. Shreveport is a sports city. It's one of two things. You either believe in it enough to get with it, and you'll always find a way, or you'll always find an excuse. And I really think that it's time to find a way. You know, I think if the basketball team comes here, go support it. Absolutely go support it. And if the basketball team doesn't come here, go out and watch a hockey game. If we don't do our jobs and make it entertaining for you, that's on us. But come Friday night, come Saturday night, give us one chance to show you that this is why we believe Shreveport's a sports city. It's a fun game. It's a fun, and it's not hockey. It's all the people coming out, and we are Shreveport.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's
Dallas
great
Stars game.
fights, and every now and then a hockey game breaks out.
If you go to a Dallas Stars game wearing a Mudbug stuff, I guarantee you someone in that place will stop you and say, Shreveport Mudbugs.
Yeah.
They do it in Nashville.
Wow.
This is a good place. Shreveport is a good place. If you have the right heart, this is the right place.
Good morning. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, 24 past 6 o'clock. Time for traffic. Ruben's here.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Airline Drive near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Win Cash is coming. It's brought to you by Greg Tilley's Bossier Manufacturing.
Yes, Matt, Trent Dilfer belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll cover that, I promise. 26 past 6, sports update. Here's Tim.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Captain Shreve Sr. Lucas Grubb returned to the field after missing the first two games with an injury and led the Gators to a 34-8 win over Huntington at Lee Hedges Stadium. He finished 14 out of 20 with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the decisive fourth quarter in which the Gators outscored the Raiders 28-2. Huntington's Craig Davis turned in quite a performance as well, running 37 times for 233 yards and 1 touchdown on a fumble return that actually gave the Raiders a 6-zip lead in the third quarter. But Grubb connected with Steve Smith to tie the game heading to the fourth quarter, and then the rally really turned up the heat in the final stanza. He found Jacques Jones on a 73-yard play to give the Gators the lead, was on the receiving end of an 8-yard pass from, again, Stephen Smith on a reverse pass, and finished off the Raiders with an 18-yard toss to Smith. At Independence Stadium, Woodlawn surprised Houghton 32-24 to claim their first win over the Bucks since 2005. Travinsky Mosley finished with 189 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and fellow senior Larry Moten had 2 TDs, including a back-breaking 83-yard touchdown reception where he did the heavy lifting after catching a screen pass. The score came after Houghton fumbled at the goal line, coughing up the chance to turn a 24-21 deficit into a lead midway through the fourth quarter. 2 plays later, Moten was scampering down the Woodlawn sideline to push the Knights in front 32-21 with just over 4 minutes to play. Houghton's Cameron Townsend threw for 258 yards, according to the Shreveport Times, with sophomore Tristan Sweeney on the receiving end for 174 of those yards and 2 scores. And in the NFL, the Texans ground out a 13-9 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Rookie Deshaun Watson scored the game's only touchdown on a 49-yard run. He also didn't turn the ball over in a defense-dominated game. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
North Korea has fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight, and a clear message of defiance days after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions. The missile triggered sirens in Japan but caused no damage. Reports of a small explosion in a West London underground train carriage. One witness who was on the train described his first-hand account.
On my way into London to go to work, blissfully unaware of anything going on, listening to a podcast, reading the news, and suddenly mass screaming, shouting, and everybody on the tube just ran.
Several people were hurt. An 18-year-old LSU freshman from Georgia has died in what university officials call a possible hazing incident at Phi Delta Theta fraternity house. LSU system president F. King Alexander says the death of Maxwell Groover is tragic and untimely.
There were allegations that they were related to hazing, but I want to emphasize that this is an evolving situation. We are investigating this matter with the utmost seriousness.
All fraternity activity has been suspended for now. University Health and BRF responds to breach of contract allegations. Matt Parker with that.
Earlier this week, Governor John Bell Edwards and LSU filed breach of contract papers against BRF. BRF and University Health responded to those accusations at a meeting on Thursday. University Health Chairman Steve Scrivano said that the state has greatly underfunded the 2 safety net hospitals in Northwest Louisiana. He says that University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, receives about half the money to see twice the amount of patients. Despite that, Scrivanos believes that the state and BRF will be able to work out their issues and come to terms on a new contract. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Fallen World War II Marine being laid to rest 74 years after his death during World War II. Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa in 1943. Snap, who's originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. A woman has suffered life-threatening injuries after being stabbed in a fight locally. Police say the victim and another woman were in a bickerment over a child on Jackson Street. At some point during the fight, the suspect pulled out a knife and stabbed the victim in the ribcage area. The suspect then fled the scene and remains at large. LSU gets its first test in the SEC tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, says the goal for LSU's defense is to keep State quarterback Nick Fitzgerald in the pocket.
Maybe come at him from different angles, try to hem him in there, make him stand in the pocket, pedal his feet, and hopefully make some mistakes through the passing game. He obviously is the stalwart runner for Mississippi State. He's going to make his bread and butter running the football. But if you can maybe force him, even when he's on a sprint out, to kind of stop and avoid pressure and maybe have to throw it away.
The game is at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN. You can also hear the game on 11:30, The Tiger. Mostly sunny today with our high temp closing in on 89 degrees. Right now, 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
The KEEL studio is powered by one.
So you literally have a manifesto, what would you say, 250, 300 words maybe, or more?
Yeah, easy, in a text.
From a local elected official that 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, Robert and Erin, that has to do with the vote earlier this week on the arena
Telling
proposal.
us we really don't know the true story.
And so we won't mention any names right now. Erin says I need to read this to you off the air.
I can read it to you on the air if we don't name names.
No, let's debate. Let's discuss this off the air. And
this is juicy.
We'll talk about it.
I get a lot of juicy stuff. This is one of the juiciest.
Don't read the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay? Don't read the whole thing because, look, here's what I'm thinking that maybe you have overlooked. That...
Let me just, this one quote.
Wait. By the style of the text, by the point of view
this
of
came in at 12:50 a.m., by the way.
By
somebody was drinking.
Well, we certainly can't say the name now. All I'm saying is there is something stylistically about this that would give listeners who are regular listeners, that would give them a very strong inclination as to who this probably is.
I don't think they'd guess it.
Okay, give me a little tease here.
Quote, no one owned up to what really happened. Ooh, I'm telling you. On the juice quotient,
Yeah.
it is like juicy juice meets
think-
prune juice meets pomegranate.
Do you think this is
Prune juice.
what's going to happen next? Or is it just kind of gonna just float away?
No, I think there will be some discussions behind the scenes with Corporate Realty to see if you can redirect their project somehow to salvage that. But the Pelicans statement said a lot without saying much. We got their message loud and clear. Which, for me, I read into that, and maybe the Pelicans didn't want me to. I read into that, thanks, but no thanks. Peace out.
Historically, the Benson family, Tom Benson with the Saints, with the Pelicans, and I don't know where else. I guess those are the only two he owns right now. His deals with the state, let me expand that. His deals with governments, municipalities at all, strongly favor him. He's not paying He's not paying anything back to use the Superdome.
Right.
He's not paying anything back to use what's it called, Smoothie King Center.
Yeah.
We have a deal. Part of the deal that Benson did with the state of Louisiana is that the state would rent office space from him. And it has to be a certain amount of space. We're not using all that space.
Right.
The state of Louisiana is paying. Look, I can look it up here. I've got the article. You want me to look it up?
Yeah.
Tell you what, let's go to break early, and I'll read it when we come back.
And we'll decide how much of my text I can read.
But
they sent me this. It's not off the record.
But I think a lot of times, see, when
well, they need to say off the record, but a lot of times it's for background.
Politicians, when
they name names.
Officials, when local elected folks send me stuff. Here's the difference between you and me. My first reaction is, you're telling me. You're not telling America. You're not telling KEEL listeners.
Oh, they know they're texting it to the loudest mouth in the city.
See, with me, I can usually tell whether they want it to be made public or not, and I will usually ask if they're sitting in this chair, if we have them on the phone, or if they are talking to me in person. They kind of know that if they're going to tell me something, it's going to go on the radio if it's good stuff. But when they text me stuff, I'm a little, am I making a mistake?
Yeah, you're making a mistake.
Thanks for straightening me out.
It's juicy.
639, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL traffic update coming up right now. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
Everything's still running nice and smooth for your early morning drive to work or school, but look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on Airline Drive near Old Minden Road in Bossier City. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Dun, 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 dun. 641, it's 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Here we go from a previous Times article. Even worse. Well, here, go back and read what you read. Not the big part we're getting ready to read, but what you said before that motivated me to start into the Benson deal. Oh, about the Pelicans' response.
Oh, the Pelicans' response was, We heard the message from the city council loud and clear.
See, historically, the Pelicans or the Saints, i.e. the Benson family, they don't pay for stuff.
Right.
So, well, here we go. From the Times. Louisiana taxpayers have already paid for 2 sports facilities for Benson. In addition to owning the Pelicans, Benson owns the Saints. Through absurd deals with Louisiana and New Orleans governments, Benson's professional teams play in publicly owned stadiums and don't pay rent to use them. On top of that, the Pelicans and Saints operations are exempted. I'm going to start that sentence again. Go slow. Listen to me. On top of that, the Pelicans and the Saints operations are exempted from state sales tax, which is estimated to be a loss to the state of around $11.6 million. So like I said 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days ago, I don't remember, hell, I said it more than once, that no matter how you look at it, if you're in favor, look, at some point, there's a whole lot of people that thought that giving the Superdome to Tom Benson, for all intents and purposes, would well serve the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana.
Sure.
There's a whole lot of people, no matter how you look at it, who thought for whatever reason that giving the Benson family, for all intents and purposes, Smoothie King Center would benefit the people of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. Obviously, there's a whole lot of people in city government here and beyond who thought that building a $30+ million arena for Tom Benson and the Pelicans, so he could run his G League team from here, possibly, would benefit the city of Shreveport and beyond. So basically all this was a microcosm of all the other deals that Tom Benson has wrangled through the state of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans and beyond.
And he wanted a deal here, obviously.
Right. So basically, if your rule of thumb, if your basic business operation premise is we don't pay for buildings. And out of the blue, you see that the city's not going to pay for your building, obviously, you're going to say, well, we ain't coming.
Right.
Remember, Tom Benson, before Katrina, Tom Benson was this close to moving the Saints to San Antonio.
Yes.
And
what if the corporate realty deal could incorporate the arena?
Corporate realty, look, you brought this up, and if somebody else wants to pay for it, and we're not on the hook for maintenance, let somebody else operate it. Let somebody else pay for it. Who they hire to operate it is up to them.
Let the Mudbugs operate it.
I don't want to be on the hook, bluntly put, for another $30+ million.
No, and that was heard loud and clear.
And I've said before, what criticism I had of this deal was not Tyler-centric. It was not focused just on the Tyler administration. We have a history, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, of doing public-private partnerships that don't work out so well.
Yeah.
And based on that history, there's a lot of people across the Arklatex that were really reticent, that were vociferous, that were adamant in stating the fact they didn't think we should float another $30 million debt. So,
yeah, I'm looking at a chart.
Yes.
Based on what NFL teams pay in rent per year.
It's believe me, the Tom Benson deal is hardly outrageous.
Wait till you hear this.
It's $0.000 $1.
No, shut up a minute.
Really?
The Atlanta Falcons pay $4 million a year to the state of Georgia. Baltimore Ravens pay $1 million a year to the state of Maryland.
Excuse me just a second.
Wait a minute.
Do you realize what a pittance sum that is to them?
Wait.
Go ahead.
You want to get to the best part. Let's look at Dallas real quick. $2 million a year to the city of Arlington. The New Orleans Saints. I can't even read this out loud without laughing. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
The New Orleans Saints receive $6 million a year
and
from the state of Louisiana.
And
it's the only one on the list that gets money.
Really?
Only one that gets money. Everyone else on this list is paying. Wait, Carolina Panthers, full ownership. They own their stadium. Carolina Panthers own their own stadium.
And part of the deal is the state of Louisiana also rents office space from the Tom Benson Company.
The Jaguars pay $10 million a year to the city of Jacksonville. We give the Saints $6 million a year. Now wait, the Vikings pay $4 million a year, but it's been waived the last few years. Are you believing this?
Yeah.
Are you shaking like I am?
No.
We give Mr. Benson $6 million a year.
Somebody playing a snare drum in the background? No, I understand that.
Soldier Field, you'd think the Bears would be able to get a deal. $5.7 million a year to the city of Chicago. Holy moly, who gets the worst deal? Let's see.
The state of Louisiana.
Jacksonville's the worst. $10.2 million a year to the city of Jacksonville.
But is that bad a deal? I mean, what is it? What is an NFL franchise worth? $10 million is like a second-team wide receiver.
Who was smoking crack when we signed this? What were they smoking?
Tom Benson.
Was it Oxy?
Remember now. Tom Benson was this far. Hold your fingers out.
I know.
From moving the team. They were gone. Pre-Katrina, the Saints were gone.
Who else is going to give him this kind of deal?
Stop a second.
No one is. Good luck. Go away. Bye.
They were this far from moving to San Antonio.
So we made this deal to keep him here.
And I reckon.
How many Super Bowls have they won since then?
And I reckon to you that most other NFL cities, or I reckon that most other NFL cities would do probably the same thing if they were on the verge of losing their team.
Unreal.
649, it's 1017 FM, 710 KEEL, Biomedical Research Foundation. Yay, nay, thumb up, thumb down. State government guy, John Bell's right hand. Boy, yo. Jade Arden joins us just after 7 o'clock. In the meantime, 649 traffic update. Here's Ruben.
It is once again the best time of day to get from A to B because everything's all clear for your early morning drive to work or school. But look out later on this morning for some traffic delays on I-220 eastbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
649, here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Nice day today and nice weekend ahead. All 3 days near 90. Right now, 66 degrees at 650. And time for your money now. Right now, 66 degrees at 650. And time for your money now.
I'm Jennifer Kashinka with Your Money Now. The federal government giving a boost.
is 8 before 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Time for sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Captain Shreve Senior Lucas Grubb returned to the field after missing the first two games with an injury and led the Gators to a 34-8 win over Huntington at Lee Hedges Stadium. He finished 14 out of 20 with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the decisive fourth quarter in which the Gators outscored the Raiders 28-2. Huntington's Craig Davis turned in quite a performance as well, running 37 times for 233 yards and 1 touchdown on a fumble return that actually gave the Raiders a 6-zip lead in the third quarter. But Grubb connected with Steve Smith to tie the game heading to the fourth quarter, and then the rally really turned up the heat in the final stanza. He found Jacques Jones on a 73-yard play to give the Gators the lead, was on the receiving end of an 8-yard pass from, again, Stephen Smith on a reverse pass, and finished off the Raiders with an 18-yard toss to Smith. At Independence Stadium, Woodlawn surprised Houghton 32-24 to claim their first win over the Bucks since 2005. Travinsky Mosley finished with 189 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and fellow senior Larry Moten had 2 TDs, including a back-breaking 83-yard touchdown reception where he did the heavy lifting after catching a screen pass. The score came after Houghton fumbled at the goal line, coughing up the chance to turn a 24-21 deficit into a lead midway through the fourth quarter. 2 plays later, Moten was scampering down the Woodlawn sideline to push the Knights in front 32-21 with just over 4 minutes to play. Houghton's Cameron Townsend threw for 258 yards, according to the Shreveport Times, with sophomore Tristan Sweeney on the receiving end for 174 of those yards and 2 scores. And in the NFL, the Texans ground out a 13-9 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Rookie Deshaun Watson scored the game's only touchdown on a 49-yard run. He also didn't turn the ball over in a defense-dominated game. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Good morning, 655. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. The Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318-392-1884. Okay, so what is Mr. Darden's official title? The Chief Administrative Officer?
He's the Commissioner of Administration.
What does that mean?
He's the second in command sort of guy. Well,
Really?
no, the lieutenant governor's the second in command. He's like the third in command, I guess.
So he's the guy with real juice. Seriously.
He's the governor's right-hand man.
It's interesting that in the state of Louisiana, and I come to, off the top of my head, and I've lived so many places, I just didn't pay attention to know if other states do it like Louisiana, where, yeah, there are separate elections, but in Louisiana, not only can it be somebody from another party, but in reality, the lieutenant governor really has nothing to do with the day-to-day operation of the state, and being the governor's front man, as Mr. Darden happens to be.
Yes.
University Health, BRF, what's the deal? We'll talk with Jay Darden just after 7 o'clock. In the meantime, here's Rush on KEEL.
Some very disturbing news from the world of entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. New study, San Diego State University Center for the Study of Women in Television and Film, looked at dramas, comedies, and reality shows across all platforms, broadcast networks, cable channels, and streaming services The results are distressing. Here's the headline from Jezebel, a feminazi website. Study finds that women characters on TV are still more likely to be mothers and wives, and that's unacceptable. Who would dare put them in those roles? Now, according to the research, women on screen play more personal life-oriented roles. Men play more work-oriented roles. Women still playing housewives. Men play business executive types like Hollywood stuck in the 50s. Here are the statistics. 68% of shows have casts with more men than women. Only 42% of all speaking roles go to women characters. It seems like more than that to me, but that's what they say. Behind the scenes, it's even worse, folks. 85% of programs have no women directors. 75% have no women editors. 67% have no women producers. And 97% have no women directors of photography. The question, why is Hollywood such a hotbed of sexism? Why is the entertainment universe run totally by liberals, full of chauvinism and misogyny? Could somebody explain that to me? It is an honor and privilege to own land. Caring for land has its own cost. So my good friends at Mahindra are lessening the burden on landowners by offering the biggest savings of the year during the Mahindra Inventory Clearance Sale. That's right, you can enjoy special cash back and savings on the toughest tractors and utility vehicles on Earth. And every penny you save on your Mahindra can be invested right back into your land. It's really the most affordable way to care for the land you love. Get a new tractor or UTV at a rock-bottom price, plus the industry's best warranty. It's a win-win. So get your work done, America, and learn more about inventory clearance savings on the world's #1 selling tractor at MahindraUSA.com.
Take advantage of rock-bottom prices and test drive a Mahindra today at Kelly Tractor and Equipment in Longview or visit kellytractor.net. That's kellytractor.net.
We have reports of a major accident on West Bertoons Industrial Loop and West 70th Street, and we're dealing with some slow-moving traffic on Hamilton Road near Barksdale Boulevard in Bossier City. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROW.
6:59, your KEELAccuWeather.com forecast, mostly sunny and warm through the weekend. High all 3 days near 90. Right now 56 at Keel.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. KEEL, Shreveport.
It is 7:03. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Way down there. Erin's got local news up next.
A freshman at LSU dies in what's described as a hazing incident. BRF and University Health are responding. We'll have more on that. And we say goodbye to a fallen Marine today, a Marine fallen in World War II.
So John Bell couldn't make it today because he knew
He's
that
been traveling.
He's traveling. He's in the copter, and so
I don't think.
Jay
He's on the
Darden,
horseback.
his kind of right-hand guy, will be joining us in a couple of minutes to talk about University Health and Biomedical Research Foundation and all the other possibilities, as a lot of people are trying to push BRF out. Plus, Stephen Jackson, Caddo Commission President, at about 7:40. Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and it's all this hour, and it's right here on Keel.
The Keel Morning Report, now on 101.7 FM and 710 Keel.
An 18-year-old LSU freshman from Georgia has died in what university officials are calling a possible hazing incident at Phi Delta Theta fraternity house. LSU system president F. King Alexander says the death of Maxwell Groover is tragic. He says hazing will not be tolerated at LSU.
As a result, all Greek activities are suspended indefinitely, pending the results of a thorough investigation.
And that investigation is expected to take a couple of weeks. Earlier this week, Governor John Bell Edwards and LSU filed breach of contract papers against BRF. Well, BRF and University Health respond to those allegations. University Health's chairman, Steve Scrivano, said the state has greatly underfunded the two safety net hospitals in North Louisiana. He says University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, gets about half the money to see twice the number of patients. Despite that, Scrivanos believes the state and BRF will be able to work out their issues and come to terms on a new contract. A fallen World War II Marine is being laid to rest. Matt Parker with that.
74 years after his death during World War II, Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe that Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa in 1943. Snap, who was originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. Services for the fallen Marine will begin this morning at 9 a.m. at Osborne's Funeral Home in Shreveport. From 101.7 FM and 710 Keel, I'm Matt Parker.
Investigation underway following reports of a small explosion in a West London underground train car. One witness who was on the train explained what it was like.
It was total chaotic panic.
Metro police are on the scene along with ambulances. Several people have been hurt. North Korea fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight, sending a clear message of defiance days after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions. House Appropriations Chairman Cameron Henry says get ready to hear some scare tactics coming from the governor's office. The state is facing a fiscal cliff because $1 billion in temporary sales taxes expire in July. The governor's been holding meetings with business leaders to come up with ways to make up for the loss of state revenue. Henry says the governor should be asking executives how the state can help their businesses grow instead of what kind of taxes they can afford.
This is obviously the worst form of economic development on the planet, and is just going to continue putting us in a position where we're, constantly looking for more money.
Henry says he expects Governor Edwards to start threatening cuts to important programs like TOPS. LSU gets its first test in the Southeastern Conference tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, says LSU had success throwing the football downfield last week, and Blair anticipates the Tigers opening up the playbook even more tomorrow night.
I don't think that Matt Canada and Coach O want to, show everything, but I think they understand the importance of going on the road in that hostile environment and getting a quick leg up, not only in the SEC overall, but certainly in the SEC West. So I think you'll see a little more dynamic out of the offense, which, again, just like me and you and all Tiger fans, I think Dan Mullen and Mississippi State really aren't sure what they're going to see.
The game's 6 o'clock on ESPN. You can hear the game on 11:30, The Tiger. Lots of sunshine, 89 for the high today. Right now it's 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
Nine past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Here comes traffic.
Keeping an eye right now on some slow-moving traffic on Hollywood Avenue and Hearn Avenue. And those school zone lights are on and the school buses are out. Please use caution when driving around the school zones. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
No matter the season, your friends at Good morning. It's 12 past 7 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app's a free download presented by Office Furniture Source. And as we tend to say, it's loud and it's clear and it's awesome. Commissioner of Administration Jay Darden is joining us for a little bit. Mr. Jay, how are you today?
Good morning. Doing fine. How are y'all?
Not bad at all. Let's start here. Because this is the question a lot of people in our part of the state are asking. Is the ultimate goal of the Edwards administration to remove biomedical research from their association with University Health, or is it to work out the problems?
The goal right now is to work out the problems. BRF has received a notice of breach. They have not received a notice of terminating the agreement. we're complying with the language of our agreement, which requires a notice of breach. That is saying, here are the things that are not being done that we think need to be done in accordance with the agreement. There's a 45-day period to cure those breaches, and we're in that 45-day period, and our hope is that we're going to be able to bring in another partner. This was the request of BRF. BRF asked the governor to work with them to bring in another partner to manage the hospital, and we're in the process of doing that right now. And during this 45-day period, those discussions will be taking place, and they're starting now.
And that other partner would be Ochsner? Is that the direction we're moving?
Ochsner is the partner that's being that meetings are being held with right now. That's right. That's who BRF asked that we deal with, and Ochsner has agreed to sit down and see if it's something that they believe is financially viable from a business standpoint.
Are other partners possible? Is a Willis Knighton a possibility?
No, Willis Knighton is not a possibility. We've said that repeatedly, and I want to say it again today. That is not a possibility. The other thing that is not a possibility, and I was in Shreveport yesterday with the governor, and I want to make this perfectly clear, and we've said this repeatedly. The goal of this administration is to keep the medical school in Shreveport. There is no intent whatsoever to move it out of Shreveport, to move it to Baton Rouge, or anything like that. Our goal is to make the medical school in Shreveport the greatest medical school it can possibly be, and to maintain the safety net hospital to serve the people of Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport, as well as with EA Conway in Monroe, which is running very smoothly and it has no complaints.
So to follow up on that, if there were, say, I don't know, theoretically, one or two politicians from our part of the state who may have thought out loud that there actually was a, to use their words, plot to get our medical school, you reject that outright?
Absolutely. They're grossly misinformed or either intentionally lying to the people of your community.
Let's talk about the dollars and cents, because State Representative Cedric Glover told us earlier this week that New Orleans and others in South Louisiana, they get the ribs, they get the steaks, they get the prime cuts off the hog, and we get the jowls and the guts. We don't get the prime pickings in terms of dollars. Your reaction to that?
Well, that's just not correct, and there's a great deal of misinformation being put out there regarding the relative amount of compensation being paid to BRF and being paid to University Medical in New Orleans, or to Children's Hospital in New Orleans, which is our partner in the New Orleans area. But the New Orleans arrangement works as it should, with a number of other hospitals being involved in medical training. The numbers that have been put out only deal with Children's Hospital's location. It doesn't include West Jeff, Touro, other hospitals in New Orleans that are also involved in medical training. And when you add those numbers in, they're considerably larger than what information has been put out. As a matter of fact, we are in the process of renegotiating memoranda of understanding with all of our partners. We have cooperative endeavor agreements. That's a legal contract with the partners in the state, and we've renegotiated those through memoranda of understanding. The one last year lasted 1 year. It expired on June 30th. We're dealing with new MOUs with our partners. We have agreements with most of them. We still have several that have not been completed yet, including BRF. BRF in this new proposed MOU is being favored more than any other partner hospital in terms of the amount of compensation they're getting relative to what they've gotten in the past. We have serious money problems in the state, as I hope everyone knows, and we're facing this fiscal cliff beginning July 1 of next year. And we're very cautious in the amount of money we're committing to our partners. We want to be realistic about it, but BRF is receiving the best possible financial deal of any of our partners, and we've not been able to reach an agreement on that amount or that MOU that we proposed, which incidentally was centered around bringing in a partner at BRF's request to manage the hospital.
So pardon me, Mr. J. So when you see numbers like University Health, 135,000 inpatient days, $241 million in funding, University Medical Center in New Orleans, only 72,000 inpatient days, but $410+ million funding, explain to me how that's misleading.
It is misleading because it's incorrect. The arrangement in New Orleans includes multiple hospitals. I'm looking at the numbers right now. The inpatient days for University Health in New Orleans is 197,773 inpatient days. Outpatient visits are 606,029. Emergency room visits are 166,662. Those are different numbers that have been put out, unfortunately, by BRF or whoever else is putting out these comparative numbers, and in an unfortunate attempt to try and convince the people in Northwest Louisiana that somehow they're being discriminated against. And, of course, it's the legislature that's responsible for appropriating dollars anyway.
Jay Darden is the Commissioner of Administration. Let me ask you this, and I don't know if it's an easy answer. If you had to tell us and our listeners a simple, this is complicated for the most folks. What is BRF doing wrong? What do they need to fix now?
It's very complicated. In fact, there's a 13-page letter that has been sent to BRF that outlines the deficiencies and provides, as is required, a list of remedies that's to be provided. And so it's a very extensive list. I can't go through all of it now, but for example, one of the primary ones is to pay its bills. There are creditors that are owed money, and LSU is owed money by BRF in accordance with the MOU that they signed last year, money that had been provided by the state for the express purpose of making those payments to LSU, and those payments have not been made. That's an example that they've got to become current on the money that is owed to LSU and the money that is owed to various creditors.
Is any deal down the line between BRF and University Health and conceivably Ochsner or anyone else, does that have to go through Governor Edwards' office, your office, for approval?
Well, it does. We're a party to the contract. I'm the signatory on the contract on behalf of the state of Louisiana. The agreement is between LSU, which is an entity of the state, and the Division of Administration, which is the entity of the state representing the state as a whole, and BRF as the partner hospital. So, yes, we have to sign off on the agreement as well.
Can you envision a deal that would be between BRF and University Health that the governor, that the Edwards administration wouldn't sign off on?
When you say BRF and University Health,
I'm sorry. In other words,
you mean LSU?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, we're working toward that very thing. Our hope is that we're going to be able to reach an agreement that everybody involved is comfortable in signing off on. That's our goal. That's our objective, and that's what we hope happens. And we're proceeding in good faith along those lines during this 45-day period that's required by the CEA.
Jay, let me ask you that. I'm sorry I call you Jay. I apologize.
It's okay. You can call me Jay.
Senator Tarver has told us he would like to see it go back to where the med school runs the hospital. Are we ever going to see that, or are we going to always be privatized?
Well, I think we're going to have a private partner involved in managing the hospital. I mean, that die has been cast. The state moved away from the old charity hospital system under the Jindal administration, entered into these agreements, most of which are very complex and in many cases, in my view, not particularly advantageous to the state, but nonetheless, we've shut down the old charity hospital system. The employees have been transitioned to the new private partner hospitals, and I think that's the way this is going to proceed going forward. And our mission right now is to try and identify a new partner that can come in and work with LSU and work with the state to make the medical school the best it can possibly be, and to make sure that safety net hospital is providing quality treatment to the people of Northwest Louisiana. And this is another one of the issues that is in discussion right now, is the level of quality and the measures of quality that are going to be provided.
Okay, Jay, you said this was a breach of contract. It was not a cancellation. At what time frame do we get to a cancellation? What do you need to see? How soon before this is a not workable deal?
Well, the agreement contemplates 45 days, and we're in that 45-day period right now where the parties are going to be negotiating. In good faith, we certainly are in good faith to try and reach a resolution here, and that's what's contemplated by the notice of breach. It basically says these are the things that are not being done that need to be done, and they need to be corrected. And in addition to those things that are outlined, the negotiation for a new partner is now really front and center in these discussions, because that's what BRF asked the governor for. They asked him to try and identify Ochsner as somebody who would come in and work to manage the hospital, and that's what the governor has done. Jay
Darden, Administration Commissioner, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Have a good weekend.
21 past 7 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Traffic update coming up for Friday. Here's Rapid Ruben.
The intersection at North Spring Street and East Stoner Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still keeping a close eye on a major accident on Westburg Coons Industrial Loop near West 70th Street. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Seasonably warm with sunshine and a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds, highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
Twenty-four past 7 o'clock, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Time for sports.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Captain Shreve Senior Lucas Grubb returned to the field after missing the first two games with an injury and led the Gators to a 34-8 win over Huntington at Lee Hedges Stadium. He finished 14 out of 20 with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the decisive fourth quarter in which the Gators outscored the Raiders 28-2. Huntington's Craig Davis turned in quite a performance as well, running 37 times for 233 yards and 1 touchdown on a fumble return that actually gave the Raiders a 6-zip lead in the third quarter. But Grubb connected with Steve Smith to tie the game heading to the fourth quarter, and then the rally really turned up the heat in the final stanza. He found Jacques Jones on a 73-yard play to give the Gators the lead, was on the receiving end of an 8-yard pass from, again, Stephen Smith on a reverse pass, and finished off the Raiders with an 18-yard toss to Smith. At Independence Stadium, Woodlawn surprised Houghton 32-24 to claim their first win over the Bucks since 2005. Travinsky Mosley finished with 189 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and fellow senior Larry Moten had 2 TDs, including a back-breaking 83-yard touchdown reception where he did the heavy lifting after catching a screen pass. The score came after Houghton fumbled at the goal line, coughing up the chance to turn a 24-21 deficit into a lead midway through the fourth quarter. 2 plays later, Moten was scampering down the Woodlawn sideline to push the Knights in front 32-21 with just over 4 minutes to play. Houghton's Cameron Townsend threw for 258 yards, according to the Shreveport Times, with sophomore Tristan Sweeney on the receiving end for 174 of those yards and 2 scores. And in the NFL, the Texans ground out a 13-9 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Rookie Deshaun Watson scored the game's only touchdown on a 49-yard run. He also didn't turn the ball over in a defense-dominated game. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
Okay, so we need fewer listeners. We are doing so incredibly
Stop.
well.
No.
We need fewer
Stop.
listeners. Hold on, just let me. 1017 FM, 710 KEEL.
Such an ultramaroon.
In fact, what would benefit us, evidently, because we're doing so well, we were just looking at like digital numbers and
People are blowing up our YouTube
and
page.
some other stuff. So basically,
I think they're looking at your sexiness. Every morning they're looking at your sexiness.
We are.
Bald is beautiful.
Yes.
Look, you guys started talking about this. This is something I don't really, when I first saw the number that, what was it, like 76,000 listening hours just on the app.
Mhm.
I went, that's insane. Well,
talking about the KEEL app, which is awesome.
this is going back like a year or so ago when it was like in the mid-40s,
Mhm.
when it was just off the stream in the old Radio Pup deal before
Yes.
people started downloading the app. And I saw 45,000 hours in a month. I said, that has to be a misprint. That's too many.
We're up to 76,000 now.
Exactly.
Yeah, plus.
And I thought that originally was a mistake. So basically what's happening is we're doing too well because down the line they're going to make our goals so high that we can't possibly meet them because we have exceeded by 100% whatever goals we had.
Welcome to corporate America.
Yeah, what we do need you to do is we do need you to download the app.
I'm not through
That's
yet.
our top goal
So
right now.
literally, because for our own long-term benefit,
Yeah.
it would behoove,
We're gonna shirk.
It would behoove us
to slack,
to not mention 1017 FM, to not mention 710 KEEL, to not mention the KEEL app brought to us by
No, the app we need.
Office Furniture
The,
Source.
the app we need.
No, we
need help on that.
Too many hours.
No. We
We want to go 100,000 hours?
We need more app downloads.
Really?
Yes. We
Okay.
need.
Download here, try this.
We don't need you to watch our YouTube videos.
Download the app.
Stop watching
Watch
them.
it. See if I got this right.
Yeah.
I'm starting.
Unfollow us.
No.
I'm starting to, and then refollow us.
And then refollow us.
Okay, I'm starting to understand the corporate
I know this
mind,
corporate mess is crazy.
the corporate digital mindset. See if I got this right.
Yeah.
Download the app,
Yeah.
but don't listen to it.
No, that's not in this goal that I'm worried
Hold on.
about.
Download the app. Just don't click on any of the links on the app.
There you go. You can listen to it.
Yeah.
But just don't click on any of the videos.
Just don't
or
interact
anything.
with anything else.
And whatever happens, don't like anything. 29 past 7 o'clock. It's 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, too popular for our own good. What happened to them? They just did too well. Right now it's 67 degrees. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on Linwood Avenue and West 70th Street. And we have some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
North Korea has fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight and a clear message of defiance. Days after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions, the missile triggered sirens in Japan but caused no damage. Reports of a small explosion in a West London underground train carriage. One witness who was on the train described his first-hand account.
On my way into London to go to work, blissfully unaware of anything going on, listening to a podcast, reading the news, and suddenly mass screaming, shouting, and everybody on the tube just ran.
Several people were hurt. An 18-year-old LSU freshman from Georgia has died in what university officials call a possible hazing incident at Phi Delta Theta fraternity house. LSU system president F. King Alexander says the death of Maxwell Groover is tragic and untimely.
There were allegations that they were related to hazing, but I want to emphasize that this is an evolving situation. We are investigating this matter with the utmost seriousness.
All fraternity activity has been suspended for now. University Health and BRF responds to breach of contract allegations. Matt Parker with that.
Earlier this week, Governor John Bell Edwards and LSU filed breach of contract papers against BRF. BRF and University Health responded to those accusations at a meeting on Thursday. University Health Chairman Steve Scrivano said that the state has greatly underfunded the two safety net hospitals in Northwest Louisiana. He says that University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, receives about half the money to see twice the amount of patients. Despite that, Scrivanos believes that the state and BRF will be able to work out their issues and come to terms on a new contract. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Fallen World War II Marine being laid to rest. 74 years after his death during World War II, Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa in 1943. Snap, who's originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. A woman has suffered life-threatening injuries after being stabbed in a fight locally. Police say the victim and another woman were in a bickerment over a child on Jackson Street. At some point during the fight, the suspect pulled out a knife and stabbed the victim in the ribcage area. The suspect then fled the scene and remains at large. LSU gets its first test in the SEC tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, says the goal for LSU's defense is to keep state quarterback Nick Fitzgerald in the pocket.
Maybe come at him from different angles, try to hem him in there, make him stand in the pocket, pedal his feet, and hopefully make some mistakes through the passing game. He obviously is the stalwart runner for Mississippi State. He's going to make his bread and butter running the football. But if you can maybe force him, even when he's on a sprint out, to kind of stop and avoid pressure and maybe have to throw it away.
The game is at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN. You can also hear the game on 11:30, The Tiger. Mostly sunny today with our high temp closing in on 89 degrees. Right now, 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
What on earth is that? Oh, dancing.
It's dancing.
736, it's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty here for a couple of segments as Cattle Commission President Stephen Jackson. We're going to use the long segment to talk about ARENA and what's next and how that might affect you as a parish official. But let's take a couple of minutes here, and we don't have a long time to delve deeply into this, which I think for Erin's sake is probably good. She came up with the idea, just your initial thoughts, a couple of days ago, and the more we mention it, man, you talk about a hot button for a lot of people. I mean, the Shreveport...
Let's merge city and parish government.
Now
at least start the discussion.
They do this in Baton Rouge, I guess in Lafayette.
New Orleans.
Which coincidentally are three cities on the most dysfunctional cities in America's America list.
We're pretty dysfunctional.
What do you think about that as a Caddo Parish Commission official?
Well, I think I've always said that I think it's worth the conversation, having the conversation.
What do you think the upside would be?
I think the upside is when you get more efficiency out of your government. You don't have this what is perceived, and in some senses, a duplication of government. City council and a parish commission, and some would say either you're advocating to get rid of your position or a city council position. But at some point, when I go out and knock on doors and talk to constituents, I tell them, hey, elect me. But then if they call me about the street issue, I tell them, hey, you got to go talk to your city council.
And most of, as was pointed out a couple of times yesterday, the vast majority of Caddo Commission seats are within the Shreveport city limits.
Are in the city limits.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have only you only have
Three,
one.
maybe?
You only have one commissioner who doesn't have any part of the city limits. That's Commissioner Doug Dominic in District 1. He's northern part of the parish. Jim Smith may have the next largest rural area down in South Shreveport.
So you told us what the upside would be. What would be the negative to that idea?
I think, maybe some of the rural areas may feel left out or feel like they're being infringed upon, but Lafayette has a system of government where those smaller rural areas are still allowed to kind of function under their own home rule charter. And it works for Lafayette. I think I don't see this as something that we have to do in the next year, 4 years, or 5 years, but I think the conversation, at least, there's some whispers about it.
She started it right down there.
Yeah.
But the parish has the bigger pot of money, so you would think that the parish commissioners would say, you're not coming over here and taking our pot of money.
Well, and if you look at it, I think if you look at it from a money aspect, I think most folks will put their hands up and say, no, that's not the reason why we should go to consolidated government, because it's only one-time money. And if you go in and spend, as the state has learned, if you go in and spend up all your one-time money and you go in trying to spend one-time money to pay for recurring expenses, you run into a problem there. But for more efficient in government, you could probably consolidate some of the taxes, property taxes, and get a flatter, lower rate maybe with your property taxes.
Wait, did a politician just say flatter, lower rate taxes?
A Democrat.
What's wrong with you?
Am I?
Okay, we got to take a break, but when we come back, can we talk about all those private meetings you were involved in with regard to the Pelicans and all the discussions you had with city leaders?
Wait, that wasn't you.
It wasn't me. Not me. Oh, no.
Wait, but you're president of the parish commission. You own some of the land down there on Cross Bayou.
But hold on, before we leave consolidated government, does that make Robert 0 and you what, 10?
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, you carry a heavier tax burden. 739.
I am a heavier tax burden.
1017 FM, 710 Keel traffic update right now. Here's Ruben.
Keeping an eye on some slow-moving traffic on Linwood Avenue and West 70th Street. And we have some traffic delays on I-220 westbound near North Market due to construction. If you have anything to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Seasonably warm with sunshine and a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds, highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm meteorologist Heather Zayer.
It is 742. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty, 1017 FM and 710 Keel. Shreveport Security Systems text line is 318 1884. Caddo Commission President Stephen Jackson is here. Erin made a little joke going into the break about the arena and the meetings. And she says, all those meetings, all those those lengthy get-togethers where, they brought in pizza and Gatorade, and all those meetings that you were not invited to. How... You had mentioned that before, that you felt kind of left out.
Shut
and
out.
a lot of other parish officials. How much does that, as the phrase goes, stick in your craw?
I mean, it really is frustrating when you know that the conversation is going on, and not only as one, the parish president, but two, it's in my district. And it's like you find out that folks are kind of talking around you and not talking to you. And I often say this to our elected officials, we have to do more talking to each other.
Who or from whom did you first hear about the arena talk? And you went, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, and did you go, what?
Well,
what? I don't know anything about this.
I first heard about this deal probably in January and this was literally a conversation in passing where the assistant administrator, Randy Luckey, was just kind of, and I think he wasn't even talking to me. I think he was talking to Dr. Wilson. And I just happened to say, okay, now what's going on Cross Bayou?
And this is back when?
District.
And this
is I want to say January sometime. And it just happened to be because he had said that they had met with Arlena
I would
Akers.
assume at this point, if you heard about this secondhand,
Right.
overhearing accidentally in January, that means that this conversation about the development with going back maybe nearly 9-10 months to a year.
Who knows how long?
But isn't that part of the problem that you just had to say, who knows how long?
Right. And as I pointed out in the forum last week, when DDA, this is something that's taken place and has an impact on downtown. The DDA didn't get involved and have a sit-down meeting with the mayor's office
Did
until
they ever really take a position
week.
on the op-ed that Liz Swain
They
wrote?
did Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The day of the meeting.
The day of the meeting.
Prior.
But it wasn't until last Thursday that they had a sit-down meeting with the mayor's office.
Really?
And you know that. And
But the mayor will say we have to keep it quiet because it's economic development. You understand that argument, right?
And I've heard that. But what I have not seen is any confidentiality agreements that says that, we've signed a confidentiality statement.
And you know about those.
Right. And so I don't, but I know of them. But if something has been put, if a mayor or myself, if we received an email or we received a document, it's instantly public information. Now, I know that you don't want to show your hand when you're in competition, but you still need to try and at least bring everybody
Pardon me.
together.
Why don't you want to show your hand? I mean, there's parts of the deal that you kind of got to keep to yourself. But can you imagine if the Tyler administration had for the last, let's say, since January, said, we want this. This is a great idea. And they would have had more then, not to say they would have overcome the flaws, but maybe they would have had a little more time not only to put a better face on the deal, but to fix parts of the deal to which people so vociferously objected.
Right. Well, and when I say at least share some of the information, you don't have to share the intricate details, the nuts and bolts of it, but at least give some big overarching picture. That's what I'm talking about is, here we have a project. There are ways to convey and get, I don't have to be spoon-fed. Oliver Jenkins, he's smart enough. Councilman Corbin, they're smart enough. They don't have to be spoon-fed. Councilman Bradford, Bowman, those guys and girls, Lynch, they don't have to be spoon-fed, but you can at least give them the big picture of what's going on. Here's what we're looking at trying to do. You don't have to give them all of the details of the negotiation.
When a couple of them said, no, we didn't feel left out. No. When I asked them that specifically and they went, oh, no. Do you think they were kind of kidding?
I can't say from a council perspective because they may have a different relationship and may have different insight on that stuff. But at least from a parish commissioner, I know I kind of felt on the outskirts of it. Had it not been for, I believe it was a May 31st meeting that we had with the CAO in the mayor's office on the 8th floor of the conference room. That was a meeting that I actually requested because what I told Dr. Wilson and Randy was, y'all need to stay out of this issue because there's an issue with the landfill that is not being discussed. And it was originally proposed that scrap yard would go to our North Shreveport Industrial Park, which is a stone's throw from the Cooper Road community.
Do you think they sort of covered that up, the whole landfill
Oh,
thing?
yes. It was downplayed, this whole idea that the owners are going to pay for it, no government money is going to go into remediate.
Is that really going to happen?
I think that's hocus pocus.
Is this deal dead?
You know, I don't necessarily know that the deal is dead, but I think the Cross Bayou aspect of it needs to be rethought. Trying to put it on Cross Bayou, particularly when you have the scrapyard there, and the level of contamination, if you saw a Shreveport Times article, very good article.
But
yesterday.
the lead, the arsenic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I worked with Mayor Glover, I worked on the Cross Bayou project.
Why didn't y'all do? Let me ask you that, since you brought that up.
This goes back to 96.
This is a great question.
I voted in 1996 for a park at Cross Bayou.
Right.
Allocated $5
You
million.
guys went 8 years. I don't have a park, and there
We
were
did it.
mayors before you.
Right.
I get that.
Correct. Well, what we did with Mayor Glover's term is we did several charrettes where we invited the community to come in and talk about what do you want to see down there? What is the vision? So we did at least 3 visioning sessions.
You didn't need to. We already voted on our vision.
Well, the money that you have set aside, I think there's only about $1.5 million to set aside down there. So that wouldn't be a drop in the bucket to clean up the remediation down there. And so now you got to think a little bigger, a little bit more progressive picture of how can you get all of this done. The issue with the Cross Bayou project is the scrapyard, and the owners, had they been willing, as it has been said in the last couple of days, to clean it up, we'd have asked them to do that back then, and we'd be moving on down the road. We probably wouldn't be having this conversation now. But you got to fix the issue with the scrapyard, and the EPA has been on them for years, as has been noted recently for years.
Would you have voted yes for this project if you were a city council member?
Absolutely not. Actually, the city needed to buy 2
Hold
or
on,
3
you kind of
parcels.
slurred over that a little bit. Repeat what you said. Absolutely
not.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. The parish commission owns about 3 or 4 parcels of land down there, and I had, basically stated to the mayor that until more information is provided on how you plan to do this and how is this feasible, bringing more retail to the area doesn't change the area as they tried to sell it. I wasn't opposed to bringing in a G League affiliate. If you said, look, we're going to do a bond proposition to upgrade the old, is that the municipal down there where Stageworks is, or if you're going to do a bond prop or something to do some renovations to the Hirsch or maybe Millennium, just something already that we have to fix it up and bring in a G League team. Nobody's opposed to bringing that team in. I think it's, this big grandioso $100 million edifice that we were trying to build.
I think at the end of the day, and I've said this a bunch of times, and as bluntly put, as negatively as some in the administration have spoken about the folks who were so adamant in being against, and a lot of folks have said, well, it's social media and misinformation. I think at the end of the day, I think most Shreveporters understood $30 million plus in debt is an undertaking maybe we shouldn't try.
Right, and don't forget your infrastructure. You got to put infrastructure down there. So I think the $30 million arena is sort of a short sale. I think you're looking on the low end, you were looking at $50 million.
I said 40. Let me ask you this, though, devil's advocate. You as a parish leader, you have a company come to you with $139 million in their hand. You have to listen to them, Stephen. And we're talking to Stephen Jackson, president of the parish committee. You have to hear them out. You have to seriously entertain that.
There were several folks when I worked in Mayor Glover's office, and now people come in, hey, I got this idea, I got this project, I want to do this. But then once you start listening to them, you find out they're going to want tax abatements. So they're going to bring you $130 million, and they're going to say, look, we want $5 million.
Well, I said a couple of times, look, historically, the Benson machine, they've got the Superdome for free. They've got Smoothie King for free. The state rents office space from the Benson Corporation, office space we don't use. This was a free arena, let me underline, another free arena that seems to be the modus operandi for the Benson operation.
Right. And so and not just the Benson You have private developers come in and do that all the time. Say, hey, they come in and they sell you a good bill of sales and say, hey, we're bringing this big project to town. Hey, by the way, can you put that road in? Can you put that stoplight in? Can we do this right of way acquisition? Whole Foods, we did a great job bringing
There's a
Whole
lot of
Foods
collateral
here,
stuff.
But we had to go in and do some right of way acquisitions.
Time for about one more down there, kid.
If you could, and I know you will, if you could send a message to Mayor Tyler today, what would you tell her in terms of how to handle this next time?
Well, I think the most important part is try to engage in all the players, get all the players at the table, and make this an inclusive project. Let's not make it look like it's something that's being sort of cavalier. We're moving with this sort of speed like there's no tomorrow. People will respect you when we say, when you stop and say, look, we have a city to run. We cannot burden generations ahead with buildings, because that's what we have now. Is we have buildings that were built years ago, and now we have inherited the system
and the debt
that comes with it. And so I think people will, but you have to make developers understand. But if anybody can come in and you give them the farm, they're gonna take it. And so I think my message to the mayor would simply be, make this a more inclusive project. Don't just talk to your amen corner. There are constructive criticism is good. Criticism is not the enemy of enthusiasm.
Stephen Jackson, President of the Caddo Parish Commission. Thanks for coming in.
Thank y'all for having me. Appreciate it. Aaron and Robert.
7:54.
Oh, Robert and Aaron.
101.
Either way, Erin and Robert sounds good.
No, it sounds horrible. 5 away from 8 o'clock. Traffic update right now. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Juella Avenue near Lakeshore Drive, and we're still keeping an eye on that backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast, sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
It's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
So on Hillary Clinton's pathetically desperate, self-serving new memoir, the former Secretary of State reveals just how bitter she is towards all the women who didn't vote during the 2016 election. She writes, quote, an older woman dragged her adult daughter by the arm to come talk to me and ordered her to apologize for not voting. I wanted to stare her right in the eyes and say, how could you not vote? You abdicated your responsibility as a citizen at the worst possible time, and now you want me to make you feel better? You didn't vote for me? When asked by Anderson Cooper if she forgives the women who regret not voting for her, Hillary replied no. So all the yoga and alternate nostril breathing techniques apparently aren't helping Hillary in terms of her anger management.
The Sean Hannity Show from coast to coast later today.
If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that life is better when you're the most comfortable that you can be. Now, that's why I made the switch to Tommy John, the best generation of T-shirts and socks and underwear out there. Now, it's crafted from feather-light, luxurious fabrics, so it fits and feels perfectly. And all Tommy John underwear is backed by the best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose. Just use the promo code Hannity when you go to TommyJohn.com. You get 20% off your first order. That's TommyJohn.com, promo code Hannity, 20% off. All right, you know, time is money when you run a business, so don't waste valuable time on issues that LegalZoom can help with. Now, LegalZoom.com and their network of independent attorneys. Now, this was built to provide business owners just like you with the advice you need from day to day in the grind of running a business. Now, you'll never be hit with billable hours since LegalZoom.com is not a law firm. So spend your time growing your business. Use LegalZoom.com for the legal stuff. And for special savings, enter the promo code Hannity in the referral box when you check out. That's promo code Hannity when you go to LegalZoom.com.
The intersection at Line Avenue and Piermont Roads dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now, and we have some traffic delays on East Texas Street near Traffic Street in Bossier City. If you have any accidents, hazards, or closures to report to us, please give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Here's your KeelAccuWeather.com forecast. Nice today, sunny and through the weekend. High all 3 days near 90. 68 at Keel. It's 8 o'clock. Here comes Fox News.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport. The KEEL Morning.
Free past 8, Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL. Erin's got local news. Hang on a second. It is coming up.
BRF has a response. We'll talk about that. Remembering a World War II hero 74 years after his death, and a death of an LSU fraternity pledge.
Dr. Jason Maggio, nutritionist, chiropractor, Olympic trainer, is just a couple of seconds away. Erin is going to tell us more about this World War II hero coming home. And if we cannot track down to talk to us the actual author of that sort of arena manifesto from a local elected official,
it was juicy.
At least you can read it without mentioning any names.
Of course I can.
It is awesome. Plus Fletcher in sports and traffic and weather, and they're all this hour, and it's right here on KEEL.
The KEEL Morning Report. Now on 1017 FM and 710 KEEL.
Earlier this week, Governor Edwards and LSU filed a breach of contract paper against BRF. Well, BRF and University Health have responded. University Health Chairman Steve Scrivanos says the state has greatly underfunded the two safety net hospitals in North Louisiana. He says University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, gets about half the money to see twice the amount of patients. Despite that, he believes that the state and BRF will be able to work things out. 74 years after his death during World War II, Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa back in 1943. Snap, who's originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. Services for the fallen Marine will begin at 9 a.m. at Osborne Funeral Home in Shreveport. An LSU pledge dies during a possible hazing incident. Matt Parker with that.
Baton Rouge police and LSU officials are investigating the death of an 18-year-old pledge at the Phi Delta Theta house. Officials suspect that Maxwell Groover's death is due to hazing. An autopsy will be conducted to determine an official cause of the death. LSU President F. King Alexander has suspended all fraternity activities until the investigation is complete. From 1017 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
A woman has suffered life-threatening injuries after being stabbed during a fight in Shreveport. Police say the victim and another woman were fighting over a child on Jackson Street. At some point, the suspect pulled out a knife, stabbed the victim in the rib cage. The suspect then fled the scene and remains at large. Shreveport Mudbugs General Manager Scott Musket chiming in on the city's hope to bring the New Orleans Pelicans G League team to town.
If it takes off the way that it should, right? Well, then maybe I do want to invest in the city. Maybe it's me that builds the $40 million facility down on the river. Maybe it's me.
The Mudbugs open their season tonight at the Hirsch. London's Metro Police say a fire on the London subway has been declared a terror incident. The force says counterterrorism officers are leading the investigation at Parsons Green, where a number of people have been hurt.
The emergency services attended, and at this stage, we are treating the matter as a terrorist-related incident.
Peace with Scotland Yard in London. North Korea has fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight, and a clear message of defiance after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions. State House Appropriations Chair Cameron Henry says get ready to hear scare tactics coming from the governor. In a video posted to his Facebook page, the Republican from Metairie says he expects Governor Edwards to start threatening cuts to important programs like TOPS.
And we all know he doesn't like TOPS anyway, that will be cut if he doesn't get $1 billion+. I think after that, you're going to see services be next, anything dealing with now waivers, anything that adversely affects people directly in Louisiana.
LSU gets its first test in the SEC tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, believes this game will be won in the trenches.
How well the offensive line for LSU can do against a much bigger and, frankly, a much faster defensive front led by Jeffrey Simmons, who, for all the things Arden Key does to disrupt offenses for LSU's defense, that's exactly what Simmons does for the Bulldogs. He's got to be accounted for it anytime he's on the field.
Lots of sunshine today. The high temp close to 89. Right now it's 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Time for Friday morning traffic. Ruben's here.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Juella Avenue near Lakeshore Drive. And we're still keeping an eye on that backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Good morning. It's 12 past 8 o'clock. Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty. It's 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. The KEEL app sounds awesome and is presented by Office Furniture Source, a free download.
Please go download it. We need your help.
Dr. Jason Maggio, more on that just a little bit later, but download it, but don't listen. I'll explain that logic later because we have these corporate goals and we've so surpassed them.
People love us for some. I don't get it.
It only hurts us in the long run if you listen for 2 and 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
We'll explain this later. Matt understands this algorithm thing.
Too many dang people are listening.
He was a lousy vice president. Okay, Dr. Jason Maggio is here, chiropractor and nutritionist and Olympic trainer.
I'm kind of scared.
We are tackling a nutrition aspect today. Your newest website with your newest plan is called Project Countdown SBC.com.
You got it.
And I'm going to say that again, Project Countdown SBC.com. And I know it must be good because Erin had a link on her Facebook page earlier this week.
It's back today.
And somebody looked at it and said their comment to Erin was, is this real? It looks too good to be true. The one thing we know about you is the OCD, super, uber focused hyper guy that you are because you are the oldest child, similar to myself. Although we were drinking that night and I don't remember.
Oh, boy.
The point being, Jason Maggio is not putting up something that's going to be a lot of BS, right?
No, correct. I mean, Wallet Hub's analysts stated that Shreveport-Bossier was the most overweight city in America, and a lot of people weren't talking about this, so I was like, I'm not just going to talk about it, I want to actually do something about it, and for years I've been helping people lose weight, and I was like, well, why not just for 12 days put online the training program that I've given my patients and clients through the years for absolutely free. And so that's what we're doing until September 24th.
Wait a second. Run that by me again. So the plan is there for free to folks to take a look at and follow if they so choose.
Yes, we have a resource guide that they can download. It breaks up into 3 different videos, or really 4 different videos over the next 12 days. So we can just help people a little bit at a time so they don't feel overwhelmed. The first video is on candida, the next video is on the thyroid and sleep and hypothalamus, and then the third video is on adrenals and hormones. So we really break it down so they can not feel overwhelmed and get the resource guide so they can follow it and go back over it over and again.
So what is it that Erin is down at the other end of the gopher-shaped broadcast table saying?
Scared about.
I'm scared about. What is it you're scared about? You're
getting I know I'm going to embark on the program. I'm going to be doing the videos this weekend. I'll be watching them all. And then I'm going to embark on the program in the next week or 10 days.
Correct.
And I'm a little bit nervous about where we're going. But I'm going to tell you, if I've ever in my life said I am committed, it's you get to an age when if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. And now I am committed to make this a life change for me. And I'm inviting you, if you're listening, to come along for the ride because I know it's going to be hard and I'm going to need some help.
Why?
Why am I doing it?
You've done things in the past, and I always sensed that, and I've never said other exercise programs or diets, if you will, etc. And I always felt like you did them for someone else, to make somebody else happy. And I sense this time in you.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Both my boys are getting older. One is married.
Mid-20s.
Yeah, one is married. One has a pretty, he's got a pretty serious girlfriend now, it looks like. And I spend some time with each of them. And I'm going to have grandchildren eventually. And I thought, I can't today get out and go chase a 3-year-old at a park without feeling like I'm exhausted or like I'm out of breath or like I couldn't catch that 3-year-old. I want to be there for my grandchildren. And I have made the decision, are you going to be there for your grandchildren to take them to Cyport or to the aquarium or to Splash Kingdom or wherever?
May I speak bluntly, or to see them graduate high school?
Yes. Or are you going to be the one that when they come over, you're going to plop them in front of video games and let them play video games while they're at Glamma's house? I like Glamma. That's good.
Nani Erin has a ring.
Stop that Nani stuff.
Nani Erin sounds awesome.
And I think I want my grandchildren to know that, we're going to be up and going and we're going to have fun. That's and when they come see. Right. And So I have to change.
Yep. And I see the eye in the tiger in her this time. I really do. And then she's understanding that really weight is a symptom. And that's what we've been trying to get across to everyone for years.
Weight is a symptom.
Weight is a symptom because a lot of people do weight loss programs, and I think that's great. And if you're doing one, please stay on it and stay committed to it. But what's different with this, we want to get the body healthy and address the things that keep the weight off permanently. And what happens is if you get the body healthy, weight is a byproduct. Losing weight is a byproduct of that. And so people have it backwards. They want to lose weight, but you want to get healthy, and your body will lose weight.
We had, and I mentioned this last time you were here when Erin was on vacation. I had mentioned that motivational speaker we had who was at the YWCA.
Dale Thomas.
Yeah, exactly. And what was it she wanted? Everybody to get up and look in the mirror and say every morning,
"Hello, gorgeous."
And Erin said, "I can't do that." She said, "Pardon me.
That's silly.
Just I can't. That's hokey. That's stupid." But I've got one for you, and I'm totally serious.
Okay.
Based on what you just said and the way you described the way you want to be, to look in the mirror, to see a reflection every day, to see your reflection and say, "I'm the cool grandma."
Well, I know I'm going to be the cool grandma.
Not if you
But am I
can't
going to be the cool grandma on the couch?
Not if you
Or I'm
can't-
going to be the cool grandma at Splash Kingdom in my, in my thong bikini.
Not
I'm
if
never
you-
going to want to be in the
Okay.
thong bikini.
Let me just speculate.
That might not happen. I
There's
get it. I get it.
some middle ground there I think we need to explore.
There's some middle ground that's now lower ground.
More with Dr. Jason Maggio just a couple of seconds away, 19 past 8 o'clock. It's 101.7 FM, 710 Keel. Total eclipse of... look at the time. Here's Ruben.
Looking right now at some slow-moving traffic on Juella Avenue near Lakeshore Drive, and we're still keeping an eye on that backed-up traffic on I-20 westbound. Starting at Spring and Market, it's backed up past Airline Drive right now. If you know something we don't, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness Traffic Hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Twenty-one past 8 o'clock. 101. I think the term condescension is applicable. 21 past 8. Here's Fletch on Keel.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Captain Shreve Sr. Lucas Grubb returned to the field after missing the first two games with an injury and led the Gators to a 34-8 win over Huntington at Lee Hedges Stadium. He finished 14 out of 20 with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the decisive fourth quarter in which the Gators outscored the Raiders 28-2. Huntington's Craig Davis turned in quite a performance as well, running 37 times for 233 yards and 1 touchdown on a fumble return that actually gave the Raiders a 6-zip lead in the third quarter. But Grubb connected with Steve Smith to tie the game heading to the fourth quarter, and then the rally really turned up the heat in the final stanza. He found Jacques Jones on a 73-yard play to give the Gators the lead, was on the receiving end of an 8-yard pass from, again, Stephen Smith on a reverse pass, and finished off the Raiders with an 18-yard toss to Smith. At Independence Stadium, Woodlawn surprised Houghton 32-24 to claim their first win over the Bucks since 2005. Travinsky Mosley finished with 189 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and fellow senior Larry Moten had 2 TDs, including a back-breaking 83-yard touchdown reception where he did the heavy lifting after catching a screen pass. The score came after Houghton fumbled at the goal line, coughing up the chance to turn a 24-21 deficit into a lead midway through the fourth quarter. 2 plays later, Moton was scampering down the Woodlawn sideline to push the Knights in front 32-21 with just over 4 minutes to play. Houghton's Cameron Townsend threw for 258 yards, according to the Shreveport Times, with sophomore Tristan Sweeney on the receiving end for 174 of those yards and 2 scores. And in the NFL, the Texans ground out a 13-9 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Rookie Deshaun Watson scored the game's only touchdown on a 49-yard run. He also didn't turn the ball over in a defense-dominated game. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
You think that was a good idea? Especially for like old people similar to myself. 1017 FM 710 Keel, Robert and Erin, 25 past 8 o'clock. Dr. Jason Mangio, nutritionist, chiropractor, and Olympic trainer. And we're talking nutrition today. The website is projectcountdownsbc.com. And this is your being, I'm not like sucking up here, but this is like you're being a good citizen. Tell everybody. Okay, the website is Wallet Hub, and it's basically a financial website. But they do a lot of surveys and studies, and they partner with a lot of universities. And this goes back a while, but not more than a couple of years, but you saw the article that said that Shreveport and Bossier are among, if not the most overweight, out of shape municipalities in America.
Yeah, it blew my mind. And then they also said that we spend $316 billion a year on healthcare that's related to overweight type symptoms like heart disease, some cancers, diabetes. So $316 billion.
And most of that is okay, we're going to talk like you're not here because you're getting ready to be part of this.
Yeah.
And I hearken back to the comment on your Facebook page, and the link to Jason's website, projectcountdownsbc.com, is up. The point is, somebody put up there the other day, this looks too good to be true.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. And for right now, it's a whole plan, and it's free, but we'll come back to that. You just mentioned diabetes. What were the other two?
Heart disease and some cancers are linked to weight.
The point I was going to make was that in men, these are diseases that are threats to men from a very early age. In most women, heart disease specifically, the threat of heart disease is virtually non-existent pre-menopause. Post-menopause, it skyrockets, and in some demographics, even surpasses men. Now, I'm not going to point any fingers, and I don't mean to mention that M word because it kind of freaks her out.
Yeah.
But it's speaking bluntly, your risk may be increasing soon.
Okay.
Is that unfair?
That's true. That's true. I'm with you. I'm down. I want to know from Jason what I'm going to be doing. What are you changing in me? What we're going to go for? We're going to start for a 10-day cleanse or something, right?
Well, not quite that long. The first thing what I really want individuals and yourself to focus on is to first see where you are so you'll know where you're going. In the training, there's things that you can do at home that are, I wouldn't say equivalent to a medical test, but at least give you a little ground to see where you are. You can do a candida test at home. I explain that in the resource guide in lesson 1. Lesson 2, we talk about how to do the thyroid, the basal metabolic test for the thyroid at home. And then also video 3, we talk about adrenals and hormones, and you can do an iris contraction test at home. So I'm showing you to see, I'm doing these tests so you can see basically where you are and so you can see where you're going, because we're addressing things that have really never been, I haven't seen them covered in weight loss programs. And they're really the culprits why people always gain the weight back, because they're not looking at the things that permanently keeps it off.
Okay, those tests are great, but what's in my fridge?
I think that pretty much, I think she nailed it there, don't you?
Yeah, what's in the fridge? Here's a simple thing. I get the question so much. We can break down weight loss and nutrition this simple. Shake in the morning, salad for lunch, meat and vegetables for dinner, nuts and seeds for snacks. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So mostly things in your refrigerator are going to be those things. You're going to fresh.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have more things in your refrigerator than your pantry. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah. Okay.
Honey bun is not a fruit, is it?
No. It talks about honey though. Honey's good for you,
especially local.
Yeah.
But for those of us, and I know this sounds silly, but for those of us who like a treat every now and then, I like I like my sweets. I have to totally give all that up for a little while. I do, right?
Yeah, but not long term, because we're actually getting down to the things that, see, Candida loves sugar. That is the type of fungus that releases over 80 different toxins in the body, and the body's so smart that it'll actually send out fat cells to entrap those toxins, and that's why the fat is so stubborn to get off. So instead of trying to burn fat, we get rid of Candida and the fat falls off. And so that's what I mean by addressing the root causes. And there's little things like just radish. Radish is amazing. It has a plant defensin in it that actually helps the liver, which helps purify food and burn fat. So just those little tweaks that I'm going to be talking about in the training video. So nothing huge, just little tweaks that you can do.
And you said radishes. I know there are some other things I need to put in my fridge. Something about sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut is amazing. Sauerkraut, a lot of people do probiotics, and they can have billions of strands in the probiotic, but taking 2 tablespoons of sauerkraut is equivalent to almost 1 trillion probiotic cultures. Absolutely, yes. Supplement companies won't tell you that.
Is that the sauerkraut, or is that the cabbage in it, or is it specifically the way
the fermentation product? You got it. It's the fermentation process that actually ups the probiotics. But just doing the salad, doing the cabbage on the bottom of the salad is great too, but the fermentation side actually.
So when it comes to sauerkraut, but I can put like Louisiana hot sauce on it.
I don't think that's bad.
Okay,
peppers.
Okay. What else are some little things that I need to start thinking about buying? Because I haven't bought a radish in 30 years. You follow me?
I have. What's really simple and overlooked is taking dandelion tea, and it doesn't have much of a taste. Put it in just a bottle of water, just like you have your bottle of water over there, and sip it throughout the day. Dandelion tea is an amazing liver cleanser. Okay. And so that is just a cost-effective way. Dandelion tea is like maybe $3 for like 20 bags. So you just put that in there in your bottled water, and it helps cleanse the liver.
What about those who, and I have my coffee in the morning. I drink no more sodas anymore. I haven't done that in a while.
That's good.
But what about those who are listening who do drink the sodas? They're addicted to Diet Coke or something like that. That's got to go, right?
There's a big difference between those two, and neither of them are good.
Right. I would agree, but we have to look at why do they crave that? They crave that because that feeds Candida. So as we start to eliminate Candida, those cravings will go down. Instead of just, snatching the Cokes off the table and say don't do that, we need to look at why they continue to go back to that. So we're trying to get rid of the culprits and that cause the habits.
Okay. So when I start, I will do a little bit of a cleanse.
A little bit of a cleanse.
And then I'll move to the
more of a fat burning phase. So we're going to be addressing the thyroid and sleep and hypothalamus.
Hang on a sec. Got to take a break.
Yeah.
I see you have 1,000 more questions.
We got to get to the cheat day. We got to talk about that. That's important.
Jason's website is projectcountdownsbc.com. And while you're here, I want to talk about some men stuff with you. Because, believe me, if there's a man problem, let me rephrase that.
I need to know about it.
But if there's a man problem, look, I'm not the youngest guy in the room. And you and I have dealt with a couple of things that I know that millions and millions and millions of people across America, men across America, and thousands who are probably listening right now deal with, and we can touch on that just a bit. 831. It's 101.7 FM, 710 KEEL. Let's do traffic right now. Here comes Ruben.
We have reports of a major accident backing up traffic on 3132 eastbound near Linwood Avenue, and we have some traffic delays on Line Avenue and Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast: sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
The power of information. KEEL News now.
North Korea has fired a missile over Japan in its longest such flight, and a clear message of defiance days after the UN Security Council adopted further sanctions. The missile triggered sirens in Japan but caused no damage. Reports of a small explosion in a West London underground train carriage. One witness who was on the train described his first-hand account.
On my way into London to go to work, blissfully unaware of anything going on, listening to a podcast, reading the news, and suddenly mass screaming, shouting, and everybody on the tube just ran.
Several people were hurt. An 18-year-old LSU freshman from Georgia has died in what university officials call a possible hazing incident at Phi Delta Theta fraternity house. LSU system president F. King Alexander says the death of Maxwell Groover is tragic and untimely.
There were allegations that they were related to hazing, but I want to emphasize that this is an evolving situation. We are investigating this matter with the utmost seriousness.
All fraternity activity has been suspended for now. University Health and BRF responds to breach of contract allegations. Matt Parker with that.
Earlier this week, Governor John Bell Edwards and LSU filed breach of contract papers against BRF. BRF and University Health responded to those accusations at a meeting on Thursday. University Health Chairman Steve Scrivano said that the state has greatly underfunded the two safety net hospitals in Northwest Louisiana. He says that University Health, compared to the hospital in New Orleans, receives about half the money to see twice the amount of patients. Despite that, Scrivano believes that the state and BRF will be able to work out their issues and come to terms on a new contract. From 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, I'm Matt Parker.
Fallen World War II Marine being laid to rest. 74 years after his death during World War II, Corporal Raymond Snap will be buried at the Northwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery near Keithville. Officials believe Snap was killed during the Battle of Tarawa in 1943. Snap, who's originally from Texas, is being laid to rest locally because his closest living relative lives in Shreveport. A woman has suffered life-threatening injuries after being stabbed in a fight locally. Police say the victim and another woman were in a bickerment over a child on Jackson Street. At some point during the fight, the suspect pulled out a knife and stabbed the victim in the ribcage area. The suspect then fled the scene and remains at large. LSU gets its first test in the SEC tomorrow night when they visit Mississippi State. The voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, says the goal for LSU's defense is to keep state quarterback Nick Fitzgerald in the pocket.
Maybe come at him from different angles, try to hem him in there, make him stand in the pocket, pedal his feet, and hopefully make some mistakes through the passing game. He obviously is the stalwart runner for Mississippi State. He's going to make his bread and butter running the football. But if you can maybe force him, even when he's on a sprint out, to kind of stop and avoid pressure and maybe have to throw it away.
The game is at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on ESPN. You can also hear the game on 11:30, The Tiger. Mostly sunny today with our high temp closing in on 89 degrees. Right now, 67. I'm Erin McCarty on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL.
.101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Robert J. Wright, Erin McCarty, Dr. Jason Maggio is here, nutritionist. The website is projectcountdownsbc.com. And Erin's decided what she really wants to know is as she embarks on this new program, is does she get a cheat day?
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm asking what real people are going to ask, okay? Not you eat the radishes and squishes and the candida and the thyroid.
What if you got a cheat day and you just really didn't want it?
That would be cool. I could be down with that. But
well, why is it so far beyond your comprehension
well,
that you couldn't?
I want a day where maybe I can go have a glass of wine.
Sure.
If I want to have a
Red
cookie.
wine's good for you. You could probably have that 6 nights a week. I just made that up.
But is there one day a week, like before when we did this, that you can eat? If you want some spaghetti or something, go out and have a meal.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do that, you just want to make sure that you stay away from MSG. A lot of people don't realize that. They hear it's just a bad chemical, but what MSG does, and no one ever has talked about this, it increases your taste buds almost by 200%. That's what a lot of the new research is saying. MSG actually enlarges your taste buds, so it's going to enhance flavor, so food actually tastes so much better. So pizza really tastes good now if MSG's on it, or this particular dish really tastes good. So when you have those off-plan or cheat day fix or off-plan meals, still keep in mind you want to keep away from the MSG all the time.
Okay.
Hang on a second. We got to go to break when we go to a short segment. Can we talk about men's stuff when we get back? Specifically,
okay. Wait,
men.
one more thing.
Go ahead.
Cheat day once a week.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you can move on to men's stuff. Okay.
It's a lot easier than I thought. 8:40, 20 from 9 o'clock. Here's Ruben on KEEL.
The intersection at North Market and North Hearn Avenue is dealing with some slow-moving traffic right now. And we're still looking at some backed-up traffic on Benton Road, just north of I-220, due to a major accident. It has things backed up to Wimple Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
Hey, Bob, we're back.
Okay, we're going to go below the belt to men's stuff now, right?
101.7 FM and 710 Keel, Robert and Erin. It's 8:43. Dr. Jason Maggio is here. Yeah, kinda. We just got to. This is interesting because we're going to talk about this a little bit. We got a text and it says, what was the question?
Jason, what's the best thing to rid your body of candida?
Here's the deal. And I would never, ever, ever suggest to anyone not to see their primary care physician regularly.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
But you are looking at a guy who had let's be blunt about it. I had a prostate infection for close to a year.
Ooh.
And I was on at least 6 or 7 different antibiotics. And I would be on it for a month, the antibiotic, whatever it happened to be, and it would kind of go away for about a month and would come back, the infection, and I'd go back to the doctor, and they would say, well, I guess, these things are hard to knock out. I ended up with literally more than a half dozen different antibiotics. For a while, all the antibiotics messed up the pH in my mouth, and I got like a mouth thrush like babies get. If you've never had that, it's like you just ate hot pizza in your... Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And I had not talked to you about that.
Right.
And once again, I feel like I'm going off like I'm going off on Rush Limbaugh and the hurricane direction here. I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not saying don't go to your doctor.
Right.
But you and I talked about it one day, and you said, well, it could be fungal.
Correct.
And what antibiotics deal with is just bacterial or viral. And you had suggested, well, that infection might be...
It might be fungal, because a lot of times antibiotics, well, most of the time they just treat bacterial infection. They don't really do anything with viral or fungal. So we did, and to answer the question and what you're talking about, we did Paudo de Arco. I know PAUDARCO, and we talk about that on the on online training as well. But yeah, that's a really good antifungal, and it helps.
You thought it was I had a candida infection,
Correct.
which is basically a yeast infection for a guy.
Yeah.
Really icky spot. But
Yeah.
the point is, speaking of icky, he gave me this black liquid in a tube.
Yeah.
It can come in a capsule, though.
Now you tell me.
The liquid's more potent.
He asked me which one to give you.
The point is, after about 3 weeks of this twice daily, and believe me, when the infection's gone, you know.
Oh, yeah. Your voice changes.
And my hair started to grow back. But and like I said, I would never tell anybody don't see your doctor.
Sure, absolutely.
But it went away.
Yeah, and
it's been over a year.
Yeah, but because we addressed the root cause, and that's what you want to do. We just don't want to hide the symptom. We went after the root cause, and it just so happened to be that. And you did coconut oil as well, those capsules, and that actually is an antifungal in itself.
Now,
how long does it take to get rid of the candida? How long for me will it take?
That is a great question. With the Paudo de Arco, which we talk about on the training, it speeds it up within 4 to 6 weeks, okay? And so if you can either do that or try to starve it, and the way you do that, you have to stay away from sugar completely, and in my opinion, that's almost impossible.
This candida stuff, which is a fungus, it not only, correct me if I'm wrong, it not only feeds the individual's want for things that are bad for you. Sweet stuff, pie, ice cream, and
oh, man. I must be full of fungus.
But it also is a hotbed for infections.
Absolutely, because the candida releases up to 80 different toxins, and then once the cells get a hold to that, they replicate and can start that infection. Absolutely.
You said when we started, we're talking to Jason Maggio, nutrition guru, you said that you can test yourself at home for candida. Can you explain that on the radio, or is that too difficult?
Well, just in short, you can do what they call the spittle test, and
sorry, what was that?
It's called the spittle test.
Like when I start talking fast.
Yeah.
So it's basically just you just actually do a little bit of saliva first thing in the morning into a glass of water, and you actually look for the changes. And we do have that guide online for free so they can see that, because it's kind of hard to explain the changes, but we do have that in that first video, because that's the first thing you need to do to see if you have the candida, because that is the first thing you need to do to unlock the weight loss puzzle.
You spit in a little cup of water.
Right. I say cup, it has to be a glass because you want to look through there. And if you see little string-like octopus things like kind of start to string away,
you're a fungus.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I'm gonna do that tonight.
Want me to go get you a honey bun before you start?
No. But I do want to know it's projectcountdownsbc.com.
You got it.
And it's going to start a life change for folks. If you're interested in doing it, it's free. It's a great program.
Say this with me. Erin McCarty. Carb burning machine.
Yes. Carb burning machine.
I love it.
And the cool Nani.
The cool Nani. Now that's what I'm looking for.
Thank you very much, Jason, as always. Once again, projectcountdownsbc.com. And if you got any questions, put them up on Erin's page or the KEEL page, and we'll get to those. She'll send them to Jason. And when
he'll answer them. He gets right back, and I'm looking forward to it.
848, it's 1017 FM 710 KEEL. Traffic update in just a couple of seconds. Your Money Now is up next.
We have reports of a major accident on East Stoner Avenue and Uri Drive, and another major accident on Benton Road near Green Acres Boulevard has things backed up to Whipple Road right now. If you have anything to report to us, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline. That's 687-ROAD.
Your AccuWeather.com forecast. Sunshine and seasonably warm with a high of 89 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Sun and some clouds with highs of 91 for the weekend. With your AccuWeather.com forecast, I'm Heather Zayer.
It's 8:52, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL. Time for sports. Here's Fletty Fletch.
Good morning from the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger. This is Tim Fletcher. Captain Shreve Sr. Lucas Grubb returned to the field after missing the first two games with an injury and led the Gators to a 34-8 win over Huntington at Lee Hedges Stadium. He finished 14 out of 20 with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the decisive fourth quarter in which the Gators outscored the Raiders 28-2. Huntington's Craig Davis turned in quite a performance as well, running 37 times for 233 yards and 1 touchdown on a fumble return that actually gave the Raiders a 6-zip lead in the third quarter. But Grubb connected with Steve Smith to tie the game heading to the fourth quarter, and then the rally really turned up the heat in the final stanza. He found Jacques Jones on a 73-yard play to give the Gators the lead. Was on the receiving end of an 8-yard pass from, again, Stephen Smith on a reverse pass, and finished off the Raiders with an 18-yard toss to Smith. At Independence Stadium, Woodlawn surprised Houghton 32-24 to claim their first win over the Bucks since 2005. Travinsky Mosley finished with 189 yards rushing and 1 touchdown, and fellow senior Larry Moten had 2 TDs, including a back-breaking 83-yard touchdown reception where he did the heavy lifting after catching a screen pass. The score came after Houghton fumbled at the goal line, coughing up the chance to turn a 24-21 deficit into a lead midway through the fourth quarter. 2 plays later, Moten was scampering down the Woodlawn sideline to push the Knights in front 32-21 with just over 4 minutes to play. Houghton's Cameron Townsend threw for 258 yards, according to the Shreveport Times, with sophomore Tristan Sweeney on the receiving end for 174 of those yards and 2 scores. And in the NFL, the Texans ground out a 13-9 win over the Bengals in Cincinnati. Rookie Deshaun Watson scored the game's only touchdown on a 49-yard run. He also didn't turn the ball over in a defense-dominated game. From the sports desk of 1130 The Tiger, this is Tim Fletcher.
$8:55, Robert and Erin, 1017 FM, 710 KEEL.
I'm just mystified looking at this Saints list again.
You are putting on the website at keelnews.com.
It's up now.
And basically we had made the point I had going back about 10 days to 2 weeks, how at the end of the day, I got to quit saying that, but it's so easy to say, when all is said and done, what this would have worked out to be, talking about the arena, the $30+ million arena. What it would have worked out to be was another free building for Tom Benson and the Saints and or the Pelicans.
Yeah.
The Saints, owned by the Bensons, don't pay New Orleans or the state of Louisiana anything for the Superdome.
Quite to the contrary.
And go
the
ahead.
State pays the Saints $6 million a year under a lease term that expires in, guess when?
To 3052.
Close. 2025. It's almost the longest one out there. Most every other team pays rent to their state or the stadium owner.
But the Bensons don't pay for the Superdome.
We pay them.
They don't pay for Smoothie King in New Orleans. And they get what amounts to about $11.5 million a year tax break. And what I said was, going back a couple of weeks, I said, in effect, this is just potentially, or was, another free building for Tom Benson. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, somebody somewhere thinks, obviously, giving him the Superdome for free benefits the state and the city. They figure that giving him Smoothie King for free benefits the state and the city. And the case was made by the Tyler administration, evidently, that giving him this building, letting him plant his flag on Cross Bayou, would in fact benefit Shreveport, Bossier, and Caddo Parish.
And it would. I mean, a moron will tell you that. It really would.
Well, you know what? By a 6-0 vote, the moron said no.
Well, it was $30 million in tax dollars. Would it balance that out? I don't know.
But in New Orleans, they figured yes.
The state.
Twice.
Oh, boy.
Back Monday morning, 6 till 9, 8:57. Robert and Erin, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel.
Apple's iPhone 10 is not even in stores yet, but with its new facial ID technology that unlocks the phone, it already has one U.S. senator raising privacy concerns. Kim Commando with your Friday Consumer Tech Update. Regardless of which side of the political aisle you're on, Senator Al Franken is absolutely right to ask Apple just how it will keep this new technology from being misused. Because of the Constitution's Fifth Amendment, you cannot be legally compelled to give up your passcode. But with this facial ID system, the Washington Post raises a question. What happens if a law enforcement officer waves your new iPhone 10 past your face? And with this facial ID system, the phone thinks it's you trying to unlock it. And then without a warrant, the phone is open. We don't know how many failed attempts the facial ID system allows before it completely locks the phone. The technology is so new, there are no laws that specifically address this kind of situation. Our tech news is updated all the time at news.commando.com. That's Komando.
Why just listen to the Kim Commando Show when there's so much more? Why not watch the whole show in high definition on your phone, tablet, or television?
This is so cool because you're so nice.
Or download the podcast in crystal clear digital audio. Watch or listen on your schedule, driving, exercising, or relaxing.
I have been following you for years, and you've made me pretty much good genius.
But Kim's Club is so much more. You also get security and data breach alerts, priority calling into the Kim Commando Show.
My favorite digital goddess. I'm so glad I get to talk to you.
And Kim's Club offers discounts for everyone over 50, former and current military, and all service personnel. It's never been more affordable to be a Kim's Club member. So stay up to date the easy and fun way. Because these days, you can't know too much about technology.
And it's like you're our friend on the radio, and I just think it's awesome.
Go now to club.commando.com. That's Komando, club.commando.com.
We have reports of a major accident backing up traffic on 3132 eastbound near Linwood Avenue, and we have some traffic delays on Line Avenue and Kings Highway. If you have anything to report to us, accidents, hazards, or closures, give us a call at our Planet Fitness traffic hotline, 687-ROAD.
Good morning. It's 8:59, 101.7 FM, 710 Keel, AccuWeather.com. Forecast sunny today and tomorrow and Sunday, all 3 days near 90. Right now, 71 at Keel.
Breaking news and trending talk. This is 101.7 FM and 710 Keel. KEEL, Shreveport.